Alright, time to finish up this chair and get it done. If you remember, we left off here, and what we need to do is build a couple of parts. We need to build the cushion that's going to sit on top of the base of the chair right there. And we're also going to have to build armrests for our chairs that require the armrest. So let's start off with the cushion. Yeah, let's do that first. Alright, I'm going to build it off of this geometry here, the base of the chair. So here's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to select those two polygons that are right there. I'm going to go to Geometry, Detach. I'm going to detach that as a clone and hit OK. So I'll select that new piece of geometry that's in there. I'm going to give it a different color. I'll go maybe a gray or something like that. I'm going to take this edge that's in the middle, hit Control and Backspace to get rid of it and its vertices. I'm going to go to Vertex Mode. You can see we have all these vertices right here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of those vertices on both sides. Okay? And I'm going to go ahead and backspace to get rid of them. So we should end up with, if I look at this and move it up, it should only have 4 vertices, 4 corners, like a square, okay, or a rectangle. That's how it should be. Alright. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to use this piece of geometry to build my cushion. And this is how I'm going to do it. With this polygon selected, I'm going to extrude it up. And the amount you want to extrude it up is really dependent on how thick you want the cushion to be. If I look at my image here, and I look at my cushion, the cushion has about an inch, maybe an inch and a half of thickness right there, something like that. That's just me guessing based on the images. So I'm going to take it about this much. Looks fine, at least in my eyes it looks good. Okay. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Edge Mode, select this edge there in the corner, and select the ring that goes all the way around. And now I'm going to make a connection there, one, and I'm going to make this one down the middle, I guess. And I'll hit OK. And the next thing I'm going to do is use the Scale tool. I'm going to scale these edges that I have now in the Y so that they bulge out to the sides like this. And I'm going to select the edge that's in the front, and I'm going to manually move it forward to bulge it out as well, like that. I want it to bulge out on purpose, and you'll see why a little bit later. I'm going to select the top polygon right here, and I'm going to use the Inset tool to inset that. About this much is good. And I'm going to move that inset up to give a little bit of bulge to the cushion there. I'm going to inset one more time, bring that in like this. Oop. Okay, and I'm going to scale this to about this much is fine, and move it up to give it a little bit of a bulge right there. Okay, so if I render this out, I get this basic, very primitive geometric shape. Now what we need to do is kind of refine this a bit using the Chamfer Tool. So I'll go to Edge Mode, and what I'm going to do is select this edge here in the middle, select the ring all the way around, go to Connect. And I'll connect this maybe one time, hit OK. And with that edge still selected, let's go to Chamfer. We'll go to the options. And we'll chamfer that out about this much and add more segments. Maybe about six segments will look pretty good. Something like that. I'll hit OK. Alright. I'm going to go to See-Through mode, go to Vertex Selection mode, turn off Ignore Backfacing. I'm going to select all of those vertices there and all the vertices on the opposite side, so I have all of these selected. And I'm going to use the Scale tool, and I'm just going to scale this out to kind of smooth this out a little bit. And I made a mistake. Editor, we're going to have to edit this out of the video. Made a mistake. Okay. Start again in 3, 2, 1. And what we want to do is take these edges that are right here. Okay, so these two on this side and these two on this side. And let's scale them in the Y to give this thing a bit of a bulge in the middle. Something like that. It's going to work out pretty good. And let's take this edge, select its loop. I'm going to go to Chamfer. Chamfer it about this much, and 6 segments is going to be more than enough. I hit OK. I'm going to go to Vertex Mode, turn off Ignore Backfacing. select all of those vertices and the vertices on the opposite side. And now I'm going to scale these out like this to give this a nicer, maybe a softer bulge, like so. Okay, so something like that. Alright, that's pretty good. Now next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Edge Mode, select this edge that's right there. And I'm going to select its ring all the way around. I'm going to go to Connect. I'm going to connect it one time with that, with those edges selected. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Scale Mode. I'm going to scale these out a bit like this so it bulges out a little bit, like so. Okay. Now back here, I'm going to go to Vertex Mode, select those vertices in the back. And I'm going to pull these back like so to cover up that area right there. Now I'm going to select these edges, or this edge loop that's right here. I'm going to go to Chamfer. I'm going to chamfer this about this much. Basically, I don't want the edges going into each other. You see, if I go too much, they go into each other. You get these black spots. That's not good. So I'm going to take it about maybe this much right here. And I'll hit OK. I'm going to go to Vertex Mode. Make sure Ignore Back Facing is turned off. Select these vertices. Scale them out like this. I'm going to select these vertices. I'm going to scale those out like so. I'm going to select these vertices. I'm going to make them wider, so I'm going to scale them out like this. And these back here I'm going to leave alone because those are working to keep the shape back there, to hide that gap, to cover that up pretty much. Okay, I'm going to go to Edge Mode and select this edge, select its loop here. I'm going to select that one, select its loop, select these two, and select that loop. I'm going to scale that out like so, just to even it out a bit. Move that down a little bit like so. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to select the polygons there. I'm going to shrink the selection. Shrink it maybe, well, let me grow that one more time. I'm going to scale this out like this. Now I'm going to shrink the selection. Scale this out like this. And move it up just a little bit. Okay, render it out. Looks kind of blocky, that's okay. We're going to fix that in a moment. I'm going to select these polygons in the middle right there and move those up just a bit to give it a little bit of a bulge shape. Then what I'm going to do is go to Edge Mode, select that edge right there, select its loop. And I'm going to chamfer that. I'm not going to chamfer too much. I'm going to go something like this. Maybe go for about 4 segments. Something like that looks pretty good. Hit OK. Then I'm going to select this edge here and this edge here. I'm going to select the loop. I'm going to chamfer that. About maybe this much right here. And segments, I'm going to go with maybe about 4 segments. Looks pretty good. Render that out, see what I have. And right here I know that I'm going to have a little bit of a problem. As you can see, I do. So what I'm probably going to do here is maybe I'll take these vertices here. Let me collapse those. And I know I have a vertex that's hiding right there, so I'm going to pull it out. And this vertex, let me see where I want to place this vertex. Let me go to Target Weld. I'm going to weld it right there. And something like that. I'm going to take these 2 edges here, and maybe I'll get rid of those. So end up with something like that. I'm not going to worry about the other side. I'll just symmetrize this afterwards, just to get this done faster and easier. Alright. Over here, what I might want to do is take this edge that's right here, and then one on the other side there, or I'll just do this one. And I'm going to select the loop. And this edge, this vertex that's at the top of the loop, I'm going to move it over here. We'll take this one here, move it right there. Basically just kind of evening these out. It's good to just even this stuff out like this. Okay. Let me go back to that edge loop, and I'm going to take it and I'm going to chamfer that to about maybe this much with 4 segments. Looks pretty good. Now I know that I have some edges here, or some vertices I should say. Probably shouldn't be there. So let me take those vertices there and collapse those. And take this vertex right there. I know that there's one hiding right there. So I'm going to pick it apart, take it, use target weld. Maybe target weld that right there. Take those 2 edges, get rid of those. I think I also have an extra vertex right there, and I do. So I'm going to use target weld, and I'll target weld that right there. And let me make sure that I don't have an extra vertex over here somewhere. And I don't. Actually, I do. So let me use target weld here. I'll target weld that right there. I think it'll be fine. Take that edge there and collapse that one. Gotta move that, even it out. Take maybe this edge right there and collapse that one as well. Okay. So I've got something like that. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to select this edge here and get its loop. I'm going to scale this one in a little bit like this. I'll move it up a little bit like so. Work on that bulge a little bit. So something like that looks pretty good. Okay. Let me select all the top polygons, all of these. I'm going to go to modifiers, and I'm going to go to parametric deformers, and I'm going to use a relax deformer to relax that a little bit. You can see as I adjust this, it basically just kind of smooths out the geometry there. So I'll say I'm happy with that. I'll collapse the modifier stack, make sure it's an editable poly. I'm going to select all the polygons. I'm going to go down again to my polygon smoothing groups and hit auto smooth. That should give me a pretty good result. There we go. So it's nice and smooth. Looks pretty good. Alright, so the cushion looks pretty good. I'm happy with it. It's got the nice bulge that I like and everything. Okay. Alright, so that looks pretty good. Okay, so now that I got that done, next thing I'm going to do is create the armrest for the chair. So how am I going to do that? I'm going to build that based off of the foundation here of the chair. So I'm going to use this polygon here, and I'm going to use the scale tool and hold down shift to scale that polygon down like so. And I'm going to clone that to a new object and hit OK. Let's select a new object and change its color just so we can understand what we're doing here a little bit better. I'm going to select its polygon that's down there. And I'm going to extrude it a little bit like so. I'm going to take this polygon that's right there and extrude that one out a little bit like this. Extrude it again. Something like that. Okay. Select that top polygon. Extrude it. Okay. Now I know that it's penetrating the cushion. I'll fix that in a moment, so don't worry about that. Right now I want to get the height here of the chair. So what I'll do is I'll extrude one more piece right there. Move that to about right there. Looks pretty good. Make kind of like a square. Select those vertices. Now we need to choose the height of the armrest. I think I'm going to go with something like this. Looks pretty good. And if we look at the reference image, here's the chair with the armrest. You can see about the height of the armrest. Looks pretty good right here. I'm going to say I'm happy with that. Now next thing I'm going to do is with those vertices selected up there, I'm going to also select these vertices using control. So I have all of this stuff selected. And I'm just going to move all this stuff to the right until it moves away from the cushion, so it's not penetrating the cushion. So something like that looks pretty good. And I'll select that polygon right there, extrude it. I'm going to bring it to about right here. Okay, so about right there is pretty good. Okay, so it's about right there in comparison to the backrest. Now I know that it doesn't reach. Here's another thing I want to point out. If we look at the arm here, the armrest for this chair, you can see that it has a little bit of a curve to it. At least it looks that way. Even if it doesn't have a curve, I'm going to add a curve because I think a curve will look much nicer and more detailed. It'll look more finished. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create the connection piece that connects this armrest to the backrest right here. So I'm going to show you how we can do that pretty easily. I'm going to hold down Shift, scale this down to make a new object. We're going to make it an element though, not a new object. We'll make it an element. And I'm going to go ahead and extrude that out. And I extruded it out way too much, so I'm going to pull this back in like so. Something like that looks pretty good. Okay. Now I'm going to use a tool we haven't used yet. We're going to use the Hinge Polygon tool. So this is how it works. What we want is for this polygon to curve and go into the armrest and connect to it. So how can we do that? We can do that pretty easily using the Hinge tool I just mentioned. Select the polygon that you want to hinge. Okay. Go up to polygons up here in the graphite modeling tools, and you should see this this tool called Hinge. Click on the tool, and what will happen is when you hover your mouse cursor over an edge, the mouse cursor will change. You see that? Right now it's just a mouse pointer. Now it changes to a crosshair. All you have to do is click and drag, and as you drag you can create a hinge. See that? So I can create a hinge here and keep hinging this over and over again as many times as I need to make this look nice and smooth. Let me undo that a couple of times. I'm going to make a nicer hinge, something like this. Make sure it's got enough segments so that it actually looks pretty good. Okay, so something like this. And once I'm done, I'm going to use the extrude. And I'm going to extrude this and then just pull it into the backrest of the chair like so. And once you do that, you can just hit delete to delete that polygon. Since it's inside the geometry, we don't need it. There we go. Okay. Let me go ahead and go to Vertex Mode here. I'm going to select all the vertices here, except the one from the armrest there. I'm going to move it. Actually, let me just move all of them in. Let me just grab all of these guys. Editor, I made a mistake. I made a mistake. Start again. 3, 2, 1. All right. So what we want to do is, I want to come over here and select this edge, grab its ring, and I'm going to take the Connect tool here. I'm going to make a connection, and I'm going to move this connection Okay, let's see what happened. Editor, I made a mistake here. So again, 3, 2, 1. And with this ring selected, let's go to the Connect tool option here. And let's take and let's slide this ring all the way almost to the beginning right here. Okay? So about right there is pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. I'm going to select that ring again and make another connection. This time I'm going to take the slide and place it at 0, and I'll hit OK so it's right in the middle. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take all of these vertices that are right here. I'm going to move all this geometry closer to the backrest right there. See that? And now I'm just going to take that edge loop that's right there, and I'm going to use the Chamfer tool. And I'm going to move the chamfer until it's almost at the beginning and almost at the end. I'm just going to add more segments to smooth that out. So maybe I'll go for about 12 segments to give it that nice curved look. See that? Very nice. Beautiful. Okay, fantastic. So I'll hit OK. So we're pretty much done with the armrest. Now we need to get the armrest on the other side. That's easy to do. Since we ripped the geometry for the armrest off of the base of the chair, the pivot point is already in the perfect position for us. So all I have to do is go to Modifiers. I'm going to go to Mesh Editing. I'm going to go to Symmetry. I'm going to symmetrize this into Y. And there we go. That's good. I'm just going to collapse that. And we're good right there. Okay? Now down here, I probably should have done something else. Let me undo. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back to the Edit Poly here. I'm going to go to Vertex Mode. I'm going to go to Target Weld. There's really no need to do this, but I think it'll look more interesting if I target weld some of this stuff together down here and give this maybe a little bit more interesting shape. Squares are just too boring. Okay, so something like that looks pretty good. Looks much better. Okay, so I'm going to say I'm happy with that. I'll go back to the Symmetry modifier, and there we go. It applied the changes to the opposite side. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and collapse all. I'm going to take the foundation there of the chair. I'm going to go to Attach. I'm going to attach the armrest right there. Okay, so this looks pretty good down here. It all looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the foundation there of the chair, go back to Attach, and I'm going to attach the cushion and the backrest to it. And that makes one solid object, as you can see. Pretty neat, right? Okay, awesome. I'm going to change the name of this. I'm going to call it Dining. Let me see if I can remember how to spell here. Dining Chair 01. I'm going to exit isolation mode. So the table is here. And now I can make some clones of this chair. So obviously I'm not going to model the chair all over again to make the other ones. I'm just going to clone this guy, place him in position roughly right there. Make another clone of him, bring him over here. I know that I have to rotate him into position. Now, if we go back to the image, the chairs that go on the sides of the table do not have armrests. So let's go ahead and remove the armrest from this guy. That's going to be very easy to do. We're just going to go to Element Mode, select that armrest element, the little hinge piece, the two pieces on the opposite side, hit delete on the keyboard to get rid of them, and there we go. Now we have a chair with no armrest. Ready to go for your mother-in-law or maybe some cousin you don't like. So what I'm going to do here is simply take this chair, kind of tuck it in under the table there. Make sure it's not going into the geometry. I'll make a clone of that. Okay, I'll select both of these chairs, make clones of that, and just rotate them about 180 degrees. Tuck them under the table, and there we go. We've got our dining table and our dining chairs. Perfect. All right. Okay, so I'm done with that. So I'm going to end this video here, and in the next one, we're just going to keep modeling more and more stuff. We got a lot of work to do, so I'll see you in the next video.